It's time for another board recap podcast, Dr. Smith. We're sitting here at the beginning of summer and the conclusion of another successful school year.
That we are. And I said this last night in the board meeting, but I think this was my favorite all-time commencement season.
It really was great. I
Yeah.
mean, it's such a celebration, and you're right in the middle of it. And what a great seat in the house you have being on stage for each one of them. And you get to shake hands with all of these over 1,400 graduates
Over
this year.
1,400 grads. We have individuals that got a full ride to Notre Dame,
Yes,
not too shabby.
right.
And then there were individuals that they may have been the first high school graduate in their family. In fact, I know there
Absolutely.
were several. So all of that is success. And, it takes everybody, a lot of people behind the scenes that folks will never see. But tell you what, it was a very proud and humbling week last week.
For sure. And of course, we lucked out. We had beautiful evenings for those that
Yes,
were
we did.
outside, and we didn't anticipate that because of the forecast. But again, you just look at the families, the friends that are gathered, the students. You can't walk away without feeling good about that. Really is a great event, all of
Completely
these.
agree. Yep.
So,
Great week.
well, let's dive into good news then from last night, if you will. So we'll kind of keep that theme going. One thing I lifted last night, and I know this is something you've talked about before, early college. We had a recognition early college did for those students. And those are students going through that innovative model program, and lifted the fact that of those 41 seniors, all of them earned an associate's degree before their diploma.
Now say that again.
All 41 seniors in the early college program earned their associate's degree from Ivy Tech before, about a
Yep.
week before getting their high
Yep.
school diploma.
41 students earned a college degree
Yes.
before they graduated from high school.
And of those 41, two of them earned two associate's degrees. No, I'm sorry, 21 of them earned two associate's
Right.
degrees, and five of them earned three associate's degrees.
Mhm.
I mean, that's almost mind-boggling. You say that, and people are like, what? What are you
Right.
talking about? It's a great innovative model program, great partnership with Ivy Tech. It's been around for over a decade.
Certainly. Great partnership with Ivy Tech, but I think
Yes.
it just is emblematic of the opportunities that our EVSC students have.
Mhm.
And early college is just one of the innovative models. We have so many, but I think it is proof positive that you show us your passion and we will make certain that you're successful.
Absolutely. And I have no doubt these students are going to be successful. So moving on through good news, then we did a podcast recently with Chief Technology Officer Stacy Mauser, just talking about all the technology that we take great pride in here in EVSC. Posted information, and we'll continue to share this with families through email and through social media about our summer meal program. We've had this for many years, and this is where children age 18 and younger eat free at designated sites, both breakfast and lunch. So make sure you check that out. We always like to welcome our new teachers. About once a week, we have these. And I know you typically go down and speak to them as well. And since we've done our last podcast, we've actually had two of these new teacher orientations. But it's always great to see these future educators, or the educators who are now going to join, and they're going to start up in August with
Yeah,
us.
always a lot of excitement. And I think if you are watching this podcast, you will see that not all of those individuals pictured are brand new to education. So
Absolutely.
we're getting an outstanding mix of newer folks, of veteran teachers, and I, in just having conversations with them, I am thrilled with the quality of teachers we are attracting to EVSC.
Yes, definitely. I know I've had an opportunity to speak with them as well, and they're going to do great things, whether they're elementary, middle, high, or even early learning, and just can't wait to see the impact they're going to have on kids and families when school starts again. Also, want to congratulate one of our new tech students. He was a freshman last year, Gavin Lacefield. He earned first place in the Crane Naval Surface Warfare Center Hypersonic Video Challenge. That's a mouthful, but congratulations to that student. No surprise to see success coming out of new tech. If you're looking at this, you're seeing some of the pictures from commencements. We've already talked about that, but we're going to continue to post more pictures, just a large album where families can grab a picture if they want of their graduates. So stay tuned. You're going to see that on social media here this week. And last but not least, I know this is a number that you like to see, Dr. Smith. Our seniors were offered over $37 million in scholarships. That's amazing.
Truly is amazing. It's another record.
Yes.
So just could not be more proud and pleased with this graduating class.
Right. And mentioned last night that so many people in the high school said there was just something special about this group. I don't know if it's the fact they were the ones that entered back when COVID, we were just reopening after that, but I heard more than one person say there was just something extra special about this graduating class.
Yeah. And, I think oftentimes that's said for many
That's true.
classes.
We'll probably hear the same thing
Uh,
next year.
Hopefully we will, but just also a shout out to all of our staff members,
Hmm.
every teacher, every building principal, every custodian, cafeteria,
Behind the scenes,
bus,
everyone.
because graduation is that capstone event, but that doesn't happen only because we have outstanding high
Sure.
schools. That happens because we have an outstanding school system where
Right.
people go all the way through and have great access to opportunities.
Well said. Well said. So that wraps up good news. If you would, Dr. Smith, take us through last night's consent items,
I
please.
will be happy to do so, and we will jump in at consent item 3.02, consideration of allowance of payments in the amount of $13,674,540.25. It is a very typical um, allowance of payments actually for this time of year. One pay, also health insurance. So pretty typical for what we see this time of year. Item 3.03, resolution to transfer from the education fund to the operations fund. We do this on a quarterly basis because the state of Indiana puts all of their state funding into the education fund, and then we have to transfer out monies for the expenses that we cannot pay out of the education fund. We have to pay them out of the operations fund. So that's why we transfer that 5.5 million. Equates itself to 22 million over the course of a year, even though we transfer out about $37 million worth of expenses.
And as one
Uh,
can imagine, our finance specialists certainly are very scientific about that amount. It's not just something they're pulling out of a hat, any
right.
number. I mean, they know exactly what they're doing when it comes to transferring those.
Absolutely. And this is not a phenomenon unique to EVSC.
Sure. It's all
All
over the
school
state.
districts in Indiana are required to do this. Item 3.04, consideration to approve the purchase of replacement Promethean panels for high school classrooms. So that was approved last night. So all of our high schools should have brand new Promethean boards or panels installed before school starts in August.
And just to make it clear, we already have these in every classroom from elementary, middle, all the way through high school. These are just replacing the ones we have in high school.
Correct. I think this is the third
I
different
think so.
iteration now for high
Yes,
school.
we've had these for
We've
a while.
had them for some time. Item 3.05, consideration to approve professional services for Power School Performance Matters for content creation and migration. So we have common informative assessments, and instead of having our folks invest their time learning how to code and program those common informative assessments into Performance Matters, we are able to use ESSER funds to have Power School do that, and then those common informative assessments will be in Power School, or students will be able to take those assessments, and then we'll be able to pull that out of Performance Matters and do the analysis. I think that will be a huge boon for us. And then finally, the last consent item, number 3.06, consideration to approve buses to be declared as surplus property. So we had two buses that were approved to be declared as surplus. Both of these are 2007 diesel buses from Thomas Freightliners. One has only 214,000 miles on it. The other has 190, nearly
They
191,000
have
miles.
served
So
us well.
they have, and I think it's time for them to go on to their next phase of life.
And that term surplus, you hear us say that from time to time. Obviously, as a state entity, we just don't all of a sudden decide to get rid of something
Right.
and trash it. There's a process for that because we've purchased that through tax dollar
Public
funding.
monies, right. So
Absolutely.
then they have to be declared surplus in a public setting, and then we can dispose of them in the appropriate manner.
And then that takes us to personnel recommendations.
Yes, item 4.01, personnel recommendations. So those are there for your perusal, as we always say at this juncture.
And
And then,
only one action item
yeah,
last
just
night.
one, 5.01, consideration to approve the updates to policy 6610, which are extracurricular funds. And as we mentioned the last podcast for a board update, when this was presented as information item, this is basically just fixing some grammatical errors and structure, and then bringing up the level to meet the asset tagging policy that we have in place.
And then last night we had 5 information items.
Yes, so the first one, 6.01, is consideration to approve the new We Care rates. So We Care is an outstanding benefit that we have for our employees, and we do subsidize We
That does
Care.
what? If somebody's listening, Dr. Smith, and they say "We Care," what is
Yeah.
that?
We Care is an infant and toddler program and pre-K program for the children of our employees. And as we know that those spots are pretty hard to find
Yes.
in not only our community, but throughout the United States. So we have invested funds to make certain that we have a world-class, great We Care program. And we do subsidize that to where the daily rate is underneath the community average. So the community average is approximately $222 for infant, and that's a week. Yes, it is expensive.
Yes, it is.
$204 for toddler, and then $181 for pre-K. And we are proposing that EVSC raise $5 a week starting July 1st. So that will take it to $190. The EVSC rate would be $190 for infant, $180 for toddler, and $160 for pre-K. And then January 1st, that would go up $5 a week also. But the net savings, when you look at the non-EVSC average for an AC Path 4 or Past Equality 4,
Top
which is a
level
very
early learning centers.
yes.
Yes.
So we compared like learning centers. The average for non-EVSC for an annual spend would be for a toddler, in this example, would be $10,486. And after the adjustment in July and after the adjustment in January, EVSC's price would be $6,845. So that is a significant savings, close to $4,000 a year in savings. And I think it's a great program for our employees, gives them peace of mind so that they can focus on the community's children because they know that their own children will be taken care of in an excellent way.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we're certainly and that's something that makes us somewhat unique. I know when we started this, there's not a lot of school districts around that have their own. A lot of people have early learning centers, which we have, but ones specific for their
Right.
employees makes us somewhat unique.
Right. And in large part subsidized by the school corporation.
Yes, yes.
And then the other information items, 6.02 to 6.05, are those monthly financial reports that Dr. Underwood takes to the board for their perusal and to keep them update on our financial affairs.
And you can click on any of those and see what it is that
Yes.
was shared that
As
Dr.
well
Underwood pulled
as
together.
going back to 2008 on those, the very similarly situated documents.
Absolutely. They're all there. So, really, this wraps up last night's board meeting. And, we've entered that time of year now with summer, Dr. Smith, where you may think, well, this week there may not be activity going on as much in schools, but that's only 1 week because then starting next week, we've got our summer school programming that starts at multiple sites. We have our summer daycare program that starts that'll run the rest of the summer. And then, not to mention, all of our facilities starting to dive in and work in all of our buildings. So,
Right.
a lot of activity going to be taking place.
In fact, we have more students in our summer programs than most districts around us have in their entire enrollment.
That's true.
And, so once again, hats off to our staff. They do that during the period of time we're doing their other work also. So just I appreciate what everybody does. No small task.
No, no, and really wrapping up what I think is just another successful school year in EVSC.
Absolutely.
So thank you for coming in to talk. Thank you for everything you do to lead us, Dr. Smith. We appreciate it.
Hey, it's a blessing and a pleasure. Thank you. Take care.